portion of the news brought to you by McDonald's. McDonald's, I'm loving it.
Police tonight are investigating another daylight shooting, this time in Union Village. Jared Higgs visited the scene where officers say the victim was a resident of Robinson Road.
Detectives learned about a shooting in Union Village shortly after 2 o'clock Wednesday afternoon. Officer in charge of the Central Detective Unit, Chief Superintendent Paul Roll, confirmed to our news team that a male and a female were walking together when this happened next.
A lone male accosted them, produced a handgun, and began discharging shots in his direction. This male, who was walking along with the female, ran and collapsed in the street, suffering from multiple gunshot injuries about the body.
Police did not identify the victim at the scene. However, Chief Superintendent Roll did say he's a resident of Robinson Road. The CDU chief also noted that the female companion was not familiar with the assailant and was reluctant to say whether or not the victim was known to authorities.
We don't know, honestly. I don't have a name, a full proper name for the deceased yet.
Police were also asked about the possibility of a connection to another broad daylight shooting that took place right here on Ida Street.
We're not certain until we get to know who the players are. I'm not certain who this young man is and why somebody would want him dead.
Police are appealing to anybody with information on this or any homicide to come forward and assist with the matter. Jared Higgs, ZNS Network News.
Thanks, Jared. On to other news now. Next week, Tuesday, will mark 50 years since Black Tuesday. It's considered one of the most historic events in our country. It's the day when Sir Lyndon Pinling, the then leader of the opposition Progressive Liberal Party, tossed the mace out of the window of the House of Assembly to angry demonstrators in the public square. This was followed by the tossing of the hourglass by the late Sir Milo Butler. The PLP was protesting what they called the unfair distribution of seats in Parliament by the United Bahamian Party-led Boundaries Commission. In commemoration of the anniversary next week, Tuesday, Bahamians are invited to attend a special service in Rawson Square at 7:30 p.m. to reflect on the great leaders like Sir Milo, Sir Lyndon, Sir Cecil Wallace Whitfield, and the others who made this day historic. Prime Minister the Right Honourable Perry Christie, Foreign Affairs and Immigration Minister the Honourable Fred Mitchell, and Transport and Aviation Minister the Honourable Glenys Hannah Martin will also join in the highlight to journey to the nationhood.
This portion of the news was brought to you by McDonald's. McDonald's, I'm loving it.
This is your Royal Fidelity Business News. I'm Jimenita Swain. Colonial Pension Services Limited is now approved to be the 8th listed Bahamas International Securities Exchange or BISX sponsor member. Sponsor members are responsible for bringing mutual fund listings to the exchange and acting as the first point of contact for mutual funds while they are engaged in the listing application process with the exchange. Company Vice President Larry Gibson said having established themselves as a regional and international pension administrator and investment manager, Colonial is pleased to take this next step towards consolidating itself as the premier pension provider in the Bahamas. In other business news, the Nassau Airport Development Company, or NAD, releasing its 2014 annual report this week. The report ending June 2014 shows that the company collected $42 million for its passenger facility charge, up from $36 million in 2013. Commercial revenue increased from $12 million in 2013 to $14 million last year. The total revenue spiked $71.6 million in 2014, a $7.3 million increase from 2013. Last year, the Lyndon Pinling International Airport served 3.2 million passengers and safely handled more than 85,000 aircraft takeoffs and landings. And in international business news, a British trader accused by U.S. authorities of market manipulation that contributed to the May 2010 Wall Street flash crash was granted bail by a London court on Wednesday. Reuters is reporting that the 36-year-old Navinder Singh Saroo says he's opposed to extradition to the United States for trial. He will remain jailed in London for at least one night after bail was set at £5 million or $7.5 million, along with other conditions. Saro's bail hearing was his first appearance since the U.S. Justice Department on Tuesday said it charged him with wire fraud, commodities fraud, and market manipulation over a period of several years. That was your Royal Fidelity Business News. I'm Jimenita Swain.
Now, I'll tell you, yesterday, Charles Fisher, everybody forgot me with the shirt.
He forgot me too.
Okay, so we're ganging up on Fisher later.
Yes, we have
Just
to.
want to make sure we're on the same page with
We
that.
have to.
However, the countdown is on. We got 10 days to go to the IAAF BTC World Relays Bahamas. And the athletes aren't the only ones. The officials aren't the only ones. And the local organizing committee isn't the only ones getting ready.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I'm
I can
ready.
run the 4x3.
Anyway, our team here at the Broadcasting Corporation is also ready for the IAAF. Charles Fisher tonight, I think he knows what he's doing, and he tells us how we're ready.
We here at the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas have been working around the clock for quite some time now to ensure an A-plus production as the host broadcaster of the second IAAF BTC World Relay, says General Manager Diana Swan.
The production team, including yourself. You've been doing research, of course, for the games. The production team has been down there ensuring that the production goes well. And that's important because the entire world will be watching the IAAF games. And so we want to be able to highlight not just the games, but our employees as well, and to highlight and showcase them as the professionals that they are.
Work will be around the clock with lots of nail-biting behind the scenes.
There's so many different employees who are working on different aspects of the games, and what the public sees is the final results. There's so many different angles that has to be covered by ZNS, and so before we get out to the stadium, there's a lot of work to be done in-house. There are a lot of decisions that have to be made leading up to the actual event, and so we started months ago working.
ZNS will provide live TV coverage on both days before the start of the first race on Saturday and right up to the final moment the athlete crosses the line on Sunday. The BCB will be working along with BTC to extend its coverage.
We are happy to work hand in hand with BTC, especially for those persons in the Family Islands who have signed on or who are testing IPTV. We're providing them with the content, of course, of the IAAF and a lot more. So persons in the Family Islands, if they are testing IPTV, then they will be able to get the IAAF games, especially in the areas where there is no cable. Now, if you don't have cable and you're not fortunate to test IPTV, then they would be able to log on to the ZNS app. They can download the app from the Google Play Store, and they'd be able to see everything that happens at the IAAF games. So we encourage our viewers that if they have family members in the islands who may not be fortunate enough to have IPTV and or cable, then they can download right on their telephone. So no matter where they are, they can enjoy the IAAF games.
That's right, ZNS Television, the host broadcaster, is the only station to watch the IAAF BTC World Relays next weekend. For the ZNS News Network, I'm Charles Fisher.
That means we're going to be working real hard over the next few days. Not that we don't usually work hard.
I was about to say, I work very hard.
For several years now, officials of the Wani Luther Foundation have committed to developing the island by contributing to various sectors, from education to business. CEO Sean Ingram recently spoke with our Julian Gibson before he started his vacation on the future of his beloved Eleuthera.
We've got a lot of trial projects, a lot of pilot projects we're doing in different areas.
Their work in the communities of South Eleuthera speaks for itself, but having a solid foundation now in place, the Wani Luther Foundation, they intend to achieve more.
More and more communities are waking up. We've gotten a lot of people coming home from Nassau, maybe professionals, young professionals, police officers, teachers, that's coming with a new mindset. And they're saying, we've seen it done other places, why can't we do it here for ourselves? So I usually say that South Eleuthera is the first to the bottom of the economy. You know, economy tanked probably first out of all the islands. I think South Eleuthera is going to be the first one to start to re-emerge, but it's going to be a lot stronger, a lot it's going to be more organic. It's going to be local people that's going to say, we now going to decide what our future is going to look like.
So what drives you? Normally, most young men probably leave the island, go, never come back and make a contribution, even like myself. What drives you to, look here, let me develop Saudi Lutheran?
I don't know. I did it for, I've lived or worked in 32 countries in the world. I did it all over the world. And one day I just said, look, I'm doing this all over the world. Let me go home and do it there. So once the conditions were right, I came back home. I worked on the back of a construction truck, making $60 a day for a while. And I went from there. We built One Lutheran now into it's a very, I think, a successful organization.
Reporting for the ZNS News Network, I am Julian Gibson.